So this section is about our volunteers and our commissars, my favourite topics. So volunteers are obviously absolutely vital part of your event. You're volunteers yourselves. So take this moment, just the next 10-20 seconds, and write down all the different volunteers that you think that you will need. You can only wear one hat, and that's the event organizer hat. You shouldn't be doing any other roles on the day. So who do you think that you will need to support you? Those could be general roles, or they could be quite discipline specific. So hopefully you've come up with a few, but here are some suggestions. Some will apply to your event, some might not. Things from your sign-on desk, lead marshals, volunteer coordinators, an assistant event organizer. Now, some of these roles are absolutely vital. You cannot put your event on without them. If you are doing a road race, you need your convoy drivers. If you are doing a downhill mountain bike, you are going to have those marshals in place all the way down the hill. Do you need a photographer? It's a nice to have. It's a great thing to have, especially if you have sponsors, because then they can take pictures that can show off your sponsorship. Do you need to have somebody on social media? Again, no, but a great asset to your event. They can keep the public up to date with how people are doing, what their times are, if there's a breakaway, how the heats are going in your race, whatever that is. And again, could showcase some of that sponsorship, send out thank yous to your local councils. You can see how beneficial it would be, but you might not be able to get these people in place, and that's completely okay. Focus initially on those must-have roles, and then look at what added extras you can do to really enhance your event. Now, we've got so many different disciplines, and there's so many different formats that I can't possibly name all the different roles and how many you need in each different event. Best thing to do, again, your dashboard, your organizer resources, they go into a lot more specific detail. So your concern is, where do you get these people from? Who are you going to ask? Well, the obvious one is your club. It should be your first port of call. If you're part of a club and you're running that event as on behalf of your club, they really need to help you out in a lot of ways. And one of those is encouraging members to volunteer. They might have volunteered at events before, or some people might have specific training. For example, you could have timekeepers in your club. Firstly, chat to your club and find out who they are and who's available. If it's an event that you're taking over, get in contact with the volunteers that have done it previously. If they've had a great experience, in all likelihood, they'll be happy to join you again and help out. If you've got clubs local to you, or if you're part of a series, chat to those other organisers and other clubs. Pull together your resources. You can even make quite a big deal about it. And for example, if you've got a series of 5 events, having a certificate at the end to say, thank you, you were part of this series of 5 cyclocross events in 2021. Without you, we wouldn't have been able to do it. Another way that more and more organisers are using to get interest for volunteers is through your event information. So part of that event management system does allow you to ask questions, and you can use that to see if anybody has a volunteer that they could bring with them. Now, if you think about it, a lot of riders don't come to events on their own. They come with a friend, they come with a parent, they come with a partner. That partner might just want to stand and enjoy the racing, but also they might be happy to donate some of their time for part or all of the day to help your event come on. So definitely it's worth adding that onto your event if possible. The last suggestion I would say is look at your local volunteer groups. Things like Aberdeen Volunteer Centre, Glasgow Volunteering, your local university possibly has a volunteer group. Duke of Edinburgh, as part of your Duke of Edinburgh award, you do have to do some volunteering. So again, if you're part of a series or band together with some local clubs, you could encourage some people through their Duke of Edinburgh, or there's a Saltire award for young people as well to get them involved in volunteering. The last one there is VAMOS. VAMOS was a group that was created by volunteers off the back of the Commonwealth Games in 2014. So it's a group that's entirely run by volunteers for volunteers, and you can go on there and advertise opportunities and get people in. The only thing about those I've categorized in the local volunteer groups is that they maybe don't have cycling knowledge, and that's something to take into account when you get them involved. These are fantastic, enthusiastic people, but they might need a really clear briefing or training to get involved, or they might benefit from being buddied up with somebody on the first occasion. But again, you give these people a great experience, they'll come back to more and more cycling events and getting involved. So you've got them involved, so how do we keep them involved? To me, the top two things are the most important. Make it clear what they are signing up to. I love volunteering myself, and there's nothing worse than getting to Friday night and you've got the event on the Saturday and you still don't really know what you're doing. You know you're to turn up at 7, you just don't know anything else. So make it clear what they're signing up to. For example, yeah, you need to be there at 7 tomorrow. You are going to be marshalling for 2 hours at this event. Here's a document from the British Cycling System to show you what's involved, but we'll give you a briefing in the morning. This is Scotland, so please do bring clothing for every weather, including bringing your sunscreen and midge repellent. Makes it really clear what they're doing, what the time commitment is, and that they'll arrive. Let them know things like they'll be provided with any specialist equipment they need to. The second thing there, thank them. Again, can't push this one enough. A thank you goes a long way, and a lot of people, that's all they need, that's all that they want from volunteering, is that appreciation that they've gone out of their way to assist you. So on the event day, you are going to be busy, maybe a little bit frazzled, walking around making sure everything's in place. But whenever you're passing a volunteer, just give them a thanks. Are you enjoying it? Anything I can get you? It goes a long, long way, trust me. Planning ahead for your volunteers. So you've got a long list of things to do. We all know that. And you're catering everything to run this event for riders. But your volunteers are just as important. So make sure that you are considering them throughout your day and throughout your planning. Are you having your marshals standing out at their marshal points all day? Or is there a break in the middle where you can bring them back in for their lunch? Are you feeding them or aren't you feeding them? If people are having to be at marshal points or at sign-on or something similar all day, is there opportunity for them to swap to have comfort breaks? Imagine what you'd be like in that role and what would make you feel appreciated and what you'd need, and then you'll know what they need. Briefings and debriefings, very important. The briefing at the start is just kind of reiterating what they're signing up to and what their responsibilities are, giving out any equipment, teaching them how to use radios if radios are needed in their role, and anything last minute that they need to know. Debriefings is again a thank you, but also letting them have the opportunity to give you any feedback. It helps them feel part of a community and feel part of something and feel that they're valued by giving that opportunity to feedback. And they might have spotted things that you just didn't spot yourself or wouldn't have known otherwise that will improve things for your future events. So please do consider having briefings and debriefings if you can. The next line is those added extras. If you've got sponsorship or you've got quite a big event, you might be able to provide things like badges, t-shirts and prizes. It does motivate some people and, you know, can spread the good news of your event wide, but it's definitely a nice to have and not a necessity. I've seen some event organisers have prizes for their volunteers. So every volunteer gets a raffle ticket, and at the end of the day, at the same time as the podium presentations, the numbers get taken out of a hat, and one of your volunteers gets a wee prize as a thank you from your sponsors, for example. And that's a really nice thing to do if you can. And then that very last one, I think you're getting the picture. You need to say thank you. So follow up with an email saying thank you, and be very specific. Say thank you very much for being part of this cyclocross event. You helped 150 new people get on their bikes and get involved in cyclocross. Without you, that just wouldn't have happened. And that gives them that warm feeling, that shows their appreciation again, that without them, those kids, those new adults would never have been introduced to, for example, cyclocross. But that could apply to any event. Just think how you can do that and help. Think about how you can give them the warm fuzzies. So the next really important group that you can't run your events without are your commissars, who are a bit of a mystery to some people. So what are they? Commissars are basically the equivalents of a referee or umpire. They are there for the safety and the fairness of events. And these people are trained by British Cycling. So they have a qualification on their British Cycling membership to say that they are commissars or referees. So just really briefly, this shows you their pathway. So they start off at trainees, and they go through a logbook experience and training to become a regional B level commissaire. And they can train all the way up to be at UCI level and represent them and support events on the world stage. But the ones that we really, really need, firstly, are those regional A and national comms. So you need chief commissaires for your events, which somebody mentioned in one of the other sections. Chief commissaires are basically your main port of contact and in charge of that officiating. They must be regional A or above to have that chief commissaire qualification. And then under them, they might need a team of other commissaires, and they can be regional B and above. So for example, for a road race, you might need your chief commissaire, who could be regional A, and then be supported by their commissaire 2, who could be regional B, regional A, and so on. At your cyclocross event, you might have a national commissaire as the chief, and then a variety of people in the team below them. The really important thing here is that no event organizer should be appointing their own commissaires. So they should be appointed by Scottish Cycling or those who we have delegated responsibility to. Now, this is a technical regulation that can be found in the handbook under G7.2. So we review this each year, and in some cases we have volunteers in place who do this. For example, we have regional commissaire coordinators for road, circuit and time trial events. Currently, these are in place in the northeast for the Grampian area, east and central, southwest and west. So we will be regularly letting everybody know in the newsletters who the current representatives are, or if it's Scottish Cycling who will be handling those appointments. So if you're not part of the Scottish Cycling newsletter yet, let us know by emailing us and we will add you onto that. So once you have that commissaire team in place to support you, get chatting to them. So as soon as they are appointed, at least say hello. So they might be appointed in March and your event's not till September. You perhaps don't need to start going chatting to them weekly at this point. They might have other events that are sooner on the calendar, but at least say hello, link up and say, oh, I'll talk to you in the summer or whatever. But these officials are a huge source of information and experience, and they can do a lot of events each year. So they might have a lot of advice and suggestions for you, but it is definitely a two-way conversation and a two-way relationship. So both of you making suggestions, and there could be areas of compromise on how you might set up your start or finish area, for example. Link in with them when you're making your event manual. They'll be able to help you get all the information that you need in there, because they've in all likelihood have seen quite a number of them. And then at the end of your event, on the event day, you need to have their briefing with them at the start of the day, but also review the event at the end of the day. Your official will write a commissar report that gets submitted to British Cycling, which has quite a bit of information in it. They should not be submitting a report with any surprises in it for you. And everything that is in that, they should discuss with you before they submit.